Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Williamsburg City Council work session of May the 6th. Ms. McKay, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Ms. Ramsey?
Here.
Mayor Pons?
Here.
Vice Mayor Dent? Here. Ms. Kernshare?
Here.
Leads us to council preview. Mr. Trivett, anything?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. At the Thursday meeting, we'll have the presentation of Excellence in Service Award to Lucas Jenny of the Public Works Department, as well as the Business Appreciation Award for 2024. Under public hearings, we'll have a zoning text amendment for the HTRFA for facilities that are public facilities and owned by the HTRFA at the Colonial Williamsburg Visitor Center. And then 3 public hearings related to the Crescent Communities application for High Street residential development. Our monthly operating report will be economic development. Under unfinished business, we have the adoption of the budget, and as well as the presentation of the annual comprehensive financial report. Under new business, we will have a ordinance that allows the waiver of fees for intergovernmental projects. And the last item on the agenda will be the consideration of an MOU transferring the responsibilities for operation and maintenance of the Triangle Building back to the Housing Authority from Economic Development.
Thank you. Any questions for the city manager? No? All right. Item B here is the opportunity for the public to come forward and speak. This is the public comment portion of the meeting. If anybody would like to come forward. Yes, ma'am. Welcome. I see you got a big project going on, though.
What are you doing today after the meeting?
Another meeting.
Hello, council, thank you. I thanked Chief Dunn on my way in today for this past weekend. It was delightful. There were a lot of very happy students, graduates, people finishing class. Nothing was untoward or out of hand. The officer that I spoke to said he was a little bored, which I thought was great. And all the kids walking by were upbeat and happy. So whatever the plans that went into this, it was marvelous. I can't wait to see what happens next year. It was really nice. Thank you all very much. Whoever did that, thank you, thank you. As far as the independent school district goes, my kids are long gone and grown. But there are some things that I recall from their school days. One is that smaller classroom size equated very well to better instruction and better reception of instruction by kids. It meant there was a little bit more individual attention paid. I was thinking of the comment that was made about people who are not English as a first language speakers and how much harder they work to keep up or surpass other students, and how a smaller school district may enhance other factors that I don't know about because I'm not in education. But I didn't respond in writing, but I think it's a really beneficial concept for the city and for the neighborhoods. For me, if the city really is committed to preserving and enhancing neighborhoods and education at the same time, you might have to start with a lag where you have 750 kids, in half that many families. But as word spreads that Williamsburg now has this really excellent school system, a couple of things can happen. One is people will want to move here for that purpose only. I'm thinking of West Point, Virginia, which is not, in terms of environment because of the paper plant, it's not the most wonderful place to live in some respects, but they have had a really renowned school system, and people do go there to live because their kids will benefit. So I'd say give it a go. You could always rejoin the flock later. I don't think that's a dead end, but I think giving it a go with an independent school system may have benefits beyond which we can see from the study. And I thank the man who I saw. There you are. Thank you for all that time and effort. I kind of wish my kids were school age again, but not that young again. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Kaiser. Would anybody else like to come forward? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment period of the meeting, and we'll move on to background presentations and discussions. And Today we have Dr. Smith with us to talk a little bit about the collection of data as a result of the study. So I don't know, if Mr. Trivett, did you have an introduction or?
Not really, Mayor. I just want to thank Dr. Smith. If you want to come on up to the podium, the study team is here to wrap up their contract with us by presenting the outcomes and major themes collected through the public input, both at our information session as well as through our survey. And we're anxious to hear what they have to say.
Great. Welcome, Dr. Smith.
Thank you, City Manager, and good afternoon. Certainly we say to Mayor Pons and Vice Mayor Dent and members of council and City Manager, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. Let me begin by expressing the consulting team's our appreciation to you for what has been what we believe a well-defined process on a very important topic, pre-K-12 education. I am confident that your courageous decision of a research and feasibility study on the consideration of an independent school division will yield significant dividends for not only the current generation of young people who reside in the city of Williamsburg, but also for future generations. I have long believed in the quote that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I truly believe that these words encapsulate the importance of your initial step, no matter how significant or insignificant it may appear. By doing so, it will serve as the catalyst toward needed progress and ultimately what can be a transformational journey. And so this afternoon, we will round out our research and feasibility study research consultation with an overview of the feedback and input received on the study report. Joining me this afternoon is Dr. Kate Maxlow, who is a member of the consulting team. And let me say a word about Dr. Maxlow before reviewing today's presentation. As recently as this past Friday, Dr. Maxlow joined 5 other national education leaders as the recipient of the 2024 Ed Week Leaders to Learn From. Congratulations to you, Dr. Maxlow.
Congratulations.
I mention this only to emphasize that it has been an honor to work with some of the most innovative and brilliant minds and accomplished educators as members of the research and feasibility study team for your important project. So thank you. With that, let me move to why we're here. And today we hope to really talk about the purpose, and we will do that, the methodology, the findings and implications, concerns and considerations, and potential next steps based upon the feedback received. And so again, as we present, you will note that hopefully we have captured the major themes submitted by the public regarding the possible creation of a City of Williamsburg Independent School Division. And certainly it's not for us to make a recommendation regarding the creation. And then hopefully you will note that the themes documented in this report in conjunction with other materials and information, that you will be able to use the information to guide further decision-making in the future regarding the educational future of the city of Williamsburg and its young people. So with that, I'm going to ask Dr. Kate Maxlow to come forward, and she's going to begin with the focus on the notification, the public feedback in terms of the publication of feedback opportunities and the landscape that was there and how the net was cast in terms of receiving feedback and so forth. And I think you will find that we've captured the essence of all of the opportunities and how you made that available and the media outlets and platforms that were used to communicate to the general public and so forth. Dr. Maxwell.
Welcome, Dr. Maxwell, and congratulations on your recent achievement.
Thank you so much. So first of all, City of Williamsburg should be commended on the number of ways that you gave the public an opportunity to provide feedback. As you can see, it was newspapers, radio, TV stations, shared via the website, listserv pushes on 5 separate occasions, multiple emails to neighborhood council listservs, as well as, of course, on Facebook, X, still can't not call that Twitter in my head, LinkedIn and Instagram, as well as putting up flyers with feedback information. So there were just so many ways for the public to find the information and to then share their thoughts. So when we really looked at how was the feedback collected, one of the major ways, this is the way when we got the most information, was through the website survey prompt, which was, how do you feel about the research and feasibility study on the creation of a City of Williamsburg Independent School Division report? But we also had a lot of feedback from the March 26th public feedback session that we went through in order to come up with the major themes. We had designated note takers in each of the sessions who were writing down all of the major themes captured during the discussions. We did distribute paper surveys at each breakout session, and then participants were also given a QR code where they could respond to the survey electronically. So as you can see here, the most in terms of feedback that we got was from the website. We had a total of 49 responses. 26 were from people residing within the City of Williamsburg, 22 from within James City County, and 1 from York County. So that was where we had 49 different responses. And of course, that was an open-ended prompt. So occasionally I've been asked, well, does this group seem to favor it more than this group? And you can't know that because it was an open-ended prompt, and you can't make inferences into what people would answer to a question as in yes or no unless you actually ask that question. Here is the feedback that we received from the March 26th session. So you can see that we received a total of 11 paper surveys and 11 electronic surveys. The sessions that got the most in terms of input were the student achievement indicators of success and of the base budget and staffing, followed up by innovative programming and partnerships, and then the one with the least amount of feedback was athletic and co-curricular opportunities. So in order to do this, I went back to my dissertation days, and so first went line by line, reading all of the different feedback, decoding people's handwriting on their written feedback forms as well, just to capture the general thoughts and feelings, really focused on the in vivo codes and what specifically they said, then collapsed that into focus coding to come up with the most frequent codes and themes, and then took all of that to sort those into the general categories that you're about to see here. So the 2 major categories that we found were concerns and considerations, things that they would like for the City Council to think about, and then potential next steps that were suggested by the feedback. And underneath concerns and considerations, there were further 3 more categories. Concerns specifically about the City of Williamsburg, student achievement, a lot of concerns about splitting the resources that are currently within WJCC, and then also concerns about the budgetary impact of an independent school division. But just because I say they're concerns, that doesn't mean that people necessarily went one way or the other on it. We tended to find that across all of the different methodologies and different surveys, opinion went in lots of different ways. Though respondents were divided on whether the best solution was to create an independent school division, most did agree that the current student achievement of City of Williamsburg students was unacceptable and some kind of intervention is needed. So you can see some of the quotes that exemplifies that. So the first one, we are disappointed in the overall achievement, but would the independent school division improve the performance? I suggest no, saying that instead they should stay within Williamsburg, James City County, and do a thorough review of the curriculum. The next one was an enthusiastic yes. I think a Williamsburg school system would be better able to address the needs of the diverse student body. And then we had a few that were somewhere in the middle. I was surprised to learn that the students in the City of Williamsburg were more diverse and economically disadvantaged. That alone is not the reason to create a new school district, but in this case, when they are so outnumbered by James City County students, I can see the merits of an argument that having their own school district may better meet their specific needs. As we said, a lot of people also discussed the idea of splitting resources. And these tended to fall into two sub-themes. One was a real concern about educator shortages, specifically teachers and administrators, but not limited to educator, but transportation, food services, et cetera. And so you can see that some people were strongly against it, and then others were the other big theme was the ability to offer a robust menu of curricular options, given a smaller number potentially of students and staff. And so there was some worry about the level of AP classes that may be offered if you just don't have as many students, et cetera. And then also maybe athletics as well was considered under here if they're playing in a different division level. And then the budget, always the budget. So again, there were some people, their primary focus was the cost as a taxpayer, and just came out and said it. That was the number one concern, was the cost as a taxpayer. Some people had some other worries, a disproportionate tax burden on the residents in the upcoming years as WJCC expands. Is there not a better way, their words, not mine, to effectively and efficiently simply reduce the percentage of tax burden on the city of Williamsburg? And then also just some worries about, since we said that, the baseline budget was what would be needed to fully staff a school division, but it did not necessarily include any potential programmatic costs that the school division, an independent school division, might want to implement, such as if you were to go with Ford Next Generation Learning or Big Picture Learning or something to that effect. And then there were three major categories for the potential next steps, which were to consider continuing to collect public feedback and recommending potentially doing that iteratively with number two, which is to conduct a budget projection based on specific programmatic decisions that the City of Williamsburg Council would need to make. And then while doing those two things, also working to implement programs to address the City of Williamsburg student achievement while also planning for the future. Because as we know, we can't let our young people wait. So looking at conducting a budget projection based on specific programmatic decisions, as we said, the majority of feedback to this point was open-ended, qualitative feedback. So we only know what people wrote down. We didn't ask specific questions, so we can't know specifically how they felt unless they came out and told us. So having more specific questions, whether qualitative or quantitative, would be able to better assess how people feel about a lot of those programmatic potential decisions. And then also consider adding some quantitative feedback and, like I said, specific qualitative feedback based on those specific prompts. And using iterative feedback loops to continue to ask more specific questions based upon the previous feedback. And then also we saw that there were so many opportunities for folks to provide input, but maybe even looking at some more grassroots efforts. I know nobody wants to go door to door these days, but how can we get even more people who may not be plugged in, especially to the internet, to get their perspectives? Regarding the budgetary impact of an independent school division, one respondent just wrote that changes in enrollment need to be studied and presented as a range of cost, especially with expected increases in enrollment due to current ongoing immigration as well as construction of new developments. Worried about needing a comprehensive cost-benefit analysis that's understandable to the public, with the public's buy-in is imperative, and then more specific budget with programmatic considerations along with proposals for how this might impact taxes, and projections regarding enrollment and other funding sources could help citizens make more informed decisions. And then lastly, just this idea of not letting any of our children not have the best possible educational experience even today. This respondent had a lot of suggestions for offering other services while making a decision, such as including academic-based before or after school care, and some of these may already be implemented, but specifically through the City of Williamsburg for City of Williamsburg students, additional tutoring for children and English language skill building for parents and families, providing homes for the unhoused, enrichment programs during the summer, et cetera. So identify where students are lacking and really enlist the help of more nonprofits, library, other organizations, et cetera. So in conclusion, the majority of stakeholders did talk about the current student achievement outcomes and agreed that those indicate that some sort of action is required, that things cannot continue on the way that they have been. However, they had differing opinions on whether that action should be in the form of an independent school division or through modifications to the current WJCC school division structure. For these reasons, the City of Williamsburg may want to implement iterative feedback loops using quantitative and specific qualitative data in order to determine the most appropriate next steps to best meet the needs of its young people. Oh,
Well, thank you. That concludes this whole thing right now.
we're done, thanks.
Well, I certainly appreciate getting this final report, and it certainly leads to a host of other questions that need to be answered, and not to say that my other colleagues may have some questions for you, but I would suggest that we as a council ask the city manager to put this on the agenda for Thursday so that we can have a little bit more direct conversation about next step for us to take, and rather than holding up the team. But anybody have any questions for Dr. Maxwell or Dr. Smith?
I don't have any questions. I mean, I just did want to say one thing, though, if I may. Is this the time?
This is your.
I mean, I just want to say that I think it's a very good strategy, and I appreciated that your questions were open-ended, because I think that from what my conversations with people in the community who are talking to me about it, it's so much more important to understand what someone is thinking. Because if you go up to somebody and you just say, do you want to split or not? And it's a yes or no question. Somebody could be like, yes. And you don't know what's going on in their head. Or no. It's like, you don't know what's going on in their head. And what is behind that? Because I think having that information, especially at this stage where people do just sort of speak more about what their concerns are and what it is they are thinking about when they think about a potential split or staying together, that is much more valuable, in my opinion, to us as we wrestle with what are the next steps. So, I just wouldn't want not having those quantitative yes or no questions to be viewed as a detriment. I actually think that is a huge positive at this stage. And so I wanted to compliment your strategy in terms of not making this just a sort of check-the-box survey, and instead doing a really good job of helping us get a better handle on how do we make sure that we understand what our constituents are concerned about and what they're thinking about in such a important topic. And I hope that as we move forward, we continue to get that level of understanding as to what people's concerns are, as well as ask maybe some more of those quantitative questions too. So I just wanted to compliment that and highlight that. I think is a real strength as we move forward in what we've already done. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and that is actually the first step of any grounded theory methodology, is to start with that wide open question and then drill down. So thank you, yes.
And I think that's been part of our strategy, is to cast that net of a question of feasibility. And through this process, we've uncovered some new information, maybe not new to some, but certainly new to us in terms of student achievements. And I think it's well documented here that our community wants and expects achievements to be better than they are, and so that leads us to next questions, and I think part of our next conversations will be how do we work towards that, finding solutions and getting the answers to the how long will it take and so forth, so, and how much will it cost. Any questions down here?
Yeah, no, I have no additional questions. I think it's very helpful to see now the public's response. Obviously, we heard a lot from them at the beginning of our letting people know we were going to review, and so the 26 from Williamsburg, 22 from James City County, I think. It's good to see what they think of this. Appreciate it. Would be in support of Thursday retabling, I guess.
So is that okay that we put it on the agenda for Thursday and have a little broader conversation and give maybe staff some new direction?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith, Dr. Maxwell.
Thank you.
We appreciate all the work that you've done for us. And hopefully you'll continue to help us when we need you. You got to answer your phone, though. Thank you both.
So will that require council action for
What's that?
Thursday?
No, so we can, if everybody agrees, we'll put it on the
Okay.
agenda. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want anybody to misinterpret that we're making some decision on.
Well, thank you, yeah.
Just the next
on
step.
we're making a decision on the next step, not on
Right.
voting on an independent or joint school system.
That's right. No, I think we're a long way from being able to make that decision. As
Absolutely.
pointed out by the group, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered along the way, so. All right. Next on the agenda is council communications. I'll just start off. Last week, I had the opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C. to represent the city in meeting with Senators Kane and Warner and Representative Whitman to kind of talk about what's happening in the city and kind of our thinking towards the 250th celebration. And by all means, I think the meetings were good, and so hopefully we'll see some support from those folks. Anybody have anything else?
Sure, only that we congratulate William Mary students who will graduate on the 17th and wish them the best of luck in the next couple weeks of exams that they'll go through.
Sure, it'll feel like several months.
I'm sure, yeah.
Good, thank you. All right, again, another open forum opportunity if anybody would like to come forward and address city council. Seeing none, we'll close the open forum, and I believe we have matters for closed session. Mr. Vice Mayor?
I move to go into closed session pursuant to Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia for the purpose of discussion of the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body regarding schools, and one personnel matter pursuant to subparagraph 1 regarding appointments to boards and commissions.
Second.
McKay?
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Ms. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mayor Pons?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Kernscher?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll go into closed session, and when we return, we'll go back into open session and adjourn the meeting. So thank you all for coming. I declare us back in open session.
I move to approve the certification of a closed session pursuant to Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia.
Second.
Okay?
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Ms. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mayor Pons?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Kernscher?
Aye.
Okay, if there's no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
Okay?
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Ms. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mayor Pons?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Kernscher?
Aye.
You're adjourned.